It's time to conclude the Grayson spy story with Spy Wars. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it automatically back to you. All alterations to the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. We've been doing the single issues of Grayson because that's how the comics are set up. But this time, I honestly just want to finish the story so that we can move on to Nightwing Rebirth in the first arc, where he fights the Court of Owls. For those of you who have been following us since the beginning, thank you. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time in this epic finale, here's a fast breakdown. Grayson was thought to be dead and he was unmasked as Nightwing. Batman saved his life and asked him if he would go undercover to stop Spiral. He did, but when he went home, Batman was missing in action. So he went back undercover himself to stop the organization Spiral. In order to stop them, he enlisted the help of multiple spy organizations, bringing us Spy Wars. Now, Grayson and Tiger are planning to end this. After receiving a tip from Grayson that Leviathan was on their way, Helena and Dr. Nets began to get the students of the finishing school down into the lower level shelters. As the two of them make their way back outside, Helena is attacked by Leviathan and King Faraway calls out to execute Omega Attack. One by one, the members each shoot and beat Helena down to the ground, and just as Faraday begins to gloat, he is stopped by Grayson punching him in the face saying, "Sorry, were you still gonna go on?" Grayson and Agent 1 begin fighting off everyone while Grayson tells Dr. Nets to go ahead and get Helena the medical attention that she needs. They're going to need to be preoccupied for a bit. Over at the Skull Girls dorm, Agent Zero tells the girls that they're going to have to help her save the school. Agent Zero is the individual who is trying to turn Spiral into an organization of chaos and destruction. And she explains to the Skull Girls that the people fighting out there, Agents 37, 1, and 8, they're all traitors, and Matron Bertinelli is dead. Everyone else alive is working for Dr. Nets, and they're really working for a secret organization called Leviathan. Leviathan is another top-secret spy organization that has been brought together to fight against Spiral, to give Spiral something to battle against for ages and ages. But now it's about to get messy. One of the Skullgirls asks Agent Zero why they should trust her, and Agent Zero tells them that they have never given them anything, but she has come bearing gifts in the form of weapons. While Dr. Nets begins to prepare Helena for surgery, machines begin to cover Helena's body, and Spider tells her that the matron has returned to the womb. Dr. Nets says that Helena needs surgery, but Spider tells her that she isn't the only healer within the web. Besides, right now, she needs to sit at Spiral's center and welcome her father home. She then calls up Agent 8, stating that she is now in command of Spiral. The awakening is happening sooner than expected, so engage the attackers. A short while later, Agent 8 is slowly backed into a corner by the Skullgirls after receiving a beating. Agent 8 says that she couldn't tell them how long she's waited for this day, but all of the girls then draw their weapons, telling her she must have forgotten who lives here. They are the Skullgirls. And Agent 8 responds with, "Well, you must be confused, because really, you're just a bunch of corpses," and she pulls the pin on a grenade. Outside with Grayson and Agent 1, he calls out that there are innocent kids in there, but Faraday tells him that there are no innocents here, but whoever did that had nothing to do with us. Grayson calls him a liar, but as Agent 1 is pinned to the ground, he tells him, "No, I'm telling the truth. It's her." As smoke begins to settle, Agent 8 walks out standing over the bodies of the Skullgirls. Agent 1 then gets back up stating, "Stay out of this fight. This is all his." And Grayson says, "Neither of them stand a chance alone. But let me make a call to Mr. Fight." A door begins to open, and through it, Midnighter walks out stating, "Hey, I'm not the romantic type, but I could kiss you right now, Grayson." Grayson runs over to check on the Skullgirls, and they all jump up calling him a traitor. One of the girls states that Agent Zero says goodbye, and Grayson tells them no wonder why there's an outbreak of crazy. She's the enemy. You're not fighting for Spiral, you're being used by Leviathan, Skullgirls. Soon Grayson manages to convince the girls to stand down just as Agent 1 finishes his fight by shooting Agent 8, his old partner. Grayson meets back up with them, telling him, "Score 1 for the good guys." And Agent 1 tells him, "Yeah, good guys." Back down in Dr. Nets' lab, Agent Zero says hello to her sister. Agent Zero and Dr. Nets are both children of the original evil Nets. Dr. Nets tells her, "Yes, I can hear you very loud and clear. And I will miss you when you're gone, sister." Luca, who also goes by the name Agent Zero's eyes widen up, and in a fit of rage, she headbutts Elizabeth, also known as Dr. Nets, stating, "When she's gone, I'm the chosen one. I'm Agent Zero." The two sisters begin to fight and struggle with each other, and then they stop and a voice tells them, "Don't stop on my account, daughters." They look up to see Helena standing, telling them to fight harder. Helena then tells the girl that she is Dr. Daedalus, but Elizabeth says, "Don't you see? Our destiny, it's all been a trick. The crown was never ours, it was his." Otto wears the crown to fly close to the sun, but fear not, they can still serve the coming cataclysm if they are willing. Outside, as the fighting settles, Grayson says that they need to find Helena, but Agent 1 tells him it's too late, she's gone. The return of Dr. Daedalus is at hand, and Helena is his chosen vessel. Dr. Daedalus is the father of both Dr. Nets and Agent Zero, also known as Elizabeth and Luca, and he is the one that orchestrated the entire Leviathan versus Spiral situation, and he put his brain into the computer so that he can live forever, so that he can be reborn in an individual eventually, so that he can bring the end of times, the cataclysm. The entire thing was so that he would not get bored. That's it. I had to explain it, like lay it out for you so you'd understand. But let's go ahead and move on. Back in the lab, Dr. Daedalus tells them that he will give them one choice: kill or die. Now, if one of them would like to join him, he has needs beyond this cellar. Luca pulls out a gun repeating, "One of us?" Grayson tells Agent 1 to tell him what's happening, and Agent 1 tells him, "Spider has been playing us all. It could never be allowed to win. But I have higher allegiances than you, Grayson." And Midnighter says, "Hate to be the one to tell you. Pretty sure your friend works for Checkmate, Grayson. This really isn't my scene, so I'm gonna be going now." And Agent 1 tells Grayson to stand down. This is Checkmate's operation now. Agent 1 has been a double agent this whole time! Soon, Agent 1 gets word to follow Dr. Daedalus, and he's been given a small jetpack, but as he leaves, Grayson jumps onto their helicopter and follows. During the chase, Grayson fires missiles, forcing Agent 1 to eject from his gear, but on his way down, Agent 1 falls towards the helicopter, shooting at it. He tells Grayson that Spiral has been playing on Checkmate's board from the start. They've been trying to keep everyone within Spiral from fulfilling Dr. Daedalus' plan, keeping watch and keeping the great Dick Grayson tied up. Grayson jumps from the cockpit of the helicopter to the roof of the helicopter, stating, "You missed one thing. I like being tied up." He then lands on Agent 1, and the two of them begin to punch each other back and forth until Agent 1 manages to throw Grayson off of the helicopter. He luckily had a parachute, while Agent 1 begins to ride the burning helicopter down to the ground. Elsewhere, Dr. Daedalus and Luca are riding a train, and he asks if her sister died well, and Luca tells him, of course. He goes on to state that he thought that maybe she would surprise him. He did make her smarter, but Luca says, yes, but why didn't you make us both smart? And Dr. Daedalus informs her that he has no need for two smart children. He needed one to be cruel, so he bent the world into his desired shape. It's what he does. Luca then pulls her gun on Dr. Daedalus, telling him, yes, but you're no father to me. You're just a blind scientist, and it is I who will be at the center of the web. So how does it feel to be the helpless one now? Dr. Daedalus pushes a button and electricity shoots out, electrocuting Luca, and moments later her body is dumped from the moving train. Back with Grayson and Agent 1, they begin to move back out while Agent 1 steals someone's car and Grayson goes to pick up his bike that he had hidden away. A short while later, Agent 1 asks, where do you get all these ridiculous toys? And Grayson tells him, don't be mad, we all can't be best friends with Batman. Agent 1 spins the car, firing his gun at Grayson, and he begins to drive back towards him, shouting, do not make me kill you! And Grayson tells him, don't worry, you won't, and then he hits a switch on his bike. The bike begins to speed up towards the oncoming car, and it rides up it, using it as a ramp, crushing the engine and driving off of it. Back over at Elizabeth's lab, Maxwell walks into a dying Elizabeth, and he tells her, I can help you. I just need the Minos file and all of the members of the Justice League, and I'll save your life. Besides, you never worked for him, he was the one pulling all of the strings. You're just a pawn. And she tells him, you think you've won? Well, let me ask you, when is a pawn not a pawn? As Elizabeth types away at the computer, the screen begins to change, stating that the archive files on the Justice League have been deleted. And she tells him, when it becomes a queen. Over in the snowy mountains, Grayson finally begins to get close to Dr. Daedalus, and he opens up the doors to his hideout. As he walks through the lower floors, he hears Dr. Daedalus stating that it looks like the fly has entered the web. And he tells him that he has one chance to let Helena go. And Dr. Daedalus tells him, I cannot. She is my vessel, and I am her god now. I am the center of the endless spiral, the mind of the cruelest Leviathan. So step into my presence and see the truth, that I am the end. As Grayson enters, Dr. Daedalus begins to show him all of the things that has happened to him and tells him, there is no end to the spiral. There is no end for me. And he hits him with the end of his cane, stating, I will erase every trace of the woman you love. And Grayson says, I have a better idea. He jumps back up, kicking Dr. Daedalus, and he tells him, how about I take you? He continues punching him, telling him, just let Helena go. Dr. Daedalus begins to laugh, stating, love makes fools of us all, and Grayson asks him, is that a yes? But Dr. Daedalus pulls away from him, telling him, you'll always fall into traps. It was always a yes. Light begins to fill the room, and then suddenly nothing but white can be seen. And then Grayson sees Helena. He runs over to help her up, and she asks, what did you do? And he tells her, what I had to. He begins to pick her up, and they walk towards the open door, and she asks him, what's your brilliant plan now? And he says, actually, I have no plan. It's time for you to run. I've spent years training my mind, learning how to fight against monsters who would use me. And she tells him, that's right, you're a superhero. I forgot. The two of them begin to kiss, and Grayson says his goodbyes, and then his mind begins to get taken over by Dr. Daedalus. Back outside, Dr. Daedalus, now in full control of Grayson's body, stops Helena, telling her, "It's a shame you didn't run fast enough. By the way, now that I'm in this body, I can tell you that Grayson only truly loves a woman named Barbara." Helena spits in his face and kicks him away, stating, "Do you really think I care?" He tells her, "No, I think you no longer exist. Somnus, activate." Dr. Daedalus tells her soon his thought suppression satellite will make it so that no one remembers his name. No records will carry his history. They will erase his soul from this world, and everyone will ask the question, who is Dick Grayson? He then hears a voice telling him, "That's a good question." And then he begins to see nothing. Dr. Daedalus asks Somnus, "What is this?" And Grayson tells him, "The satellite can't hear you. You're in my mind, our mind. The world may have forgotten me, but here, that question's a bit more complicated, isn't it? So do you really want to know who Dick Grayson is? Well, you're about to find out." Dr. Daedalus' body begins to change, sprouting spider legs, stating that he will be the greatest version of them. But all of the versions of Dick Grayson begin to attack him, kicking and punching through his spider legs, telling him that he's done. Dr. Daedalus pulls out a gun, telling him that the world is theirs to shape. Join him! But Grayson says, "It's not every day you get to become a Nazi warlord. I think I'm gonna have to pass." As Nightwing punches Dr. Daedalus down, he tells him that this will be the last offer that he makes. This will be the end. The spiders begin to crawl out, attacking the other versions of Grayson. But the Nightwing one says, "It will be your end as well." Dr. Daedalus tells him it's his kingdom. He can't dare defeat him without destroying him. The risk is too great. Nightwing leans in, telling him, "Risk is what I do. Risk is who I am." And then he whispers the trigger word to deactivate the Hypnos. Tsuchigomo. Just as he says it, Grayson and Dr. Daedalus' bodies begin to merge, and Dr. Daedalus shouts, "No! The world is at my hands! I am the center!" But soon, Dr. Daedalus' body begins to crumble and fade as Grayson falls into darkness. A week later, Grayson begins to wake up in a room and he starts to walk outside. When he opens the door, he sees Helena telling him, "Welcome back, assuming you're Dick Grayson and not some bug-faced Hitler in there." She tells him that according to the world, Dick Grayson never existed. And according to Spiral, agents stop at 36. There is no Agent 37. But to her, he's unforgettable, which is why she programmed it so that she would remember into the Somnus satellite while she was trapped. She did make an exception though. The family that he has in Gotham remembers him, but not many others. Just in case he tried to be a hero. She goes on to state that what happened in the castle may be a normal Tuesday, but Daedalus was just in her head, and he made her feel things. A reminder of who she really was. Grayson says, "A spy?" And she tells him no, a Bertinelli. After everything that's gone on, they may be free from Spiral, but that doesn't mean they are truly free. They have their own destinies, and she can't wait to see who he's gonna be the next time they meet up. And Grayson tells her, "You know what? Neither can I. Will I be the acrobat, the sidekick, the heir, the spy, or maybe just a hero?" And that concludes the Grayson storyline. I hope you guys enjoyed him as a spy. We have an entire playlist where you can watch this entire story unfold, but next week, it's gonna be Nightwing Rebirth. It's time for him to be Nightwing again. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian, and I'll see you next time right here.